The Karen Show. The Karen Show. The Karen Show. Let's go. Let's go. The Karen Show.
Hello, everybody. Excuse my glasses. I should have taken them off first, but I put them on. I can read without my glasses, but these just make things a little bit easy, so I'm popping them back on. And, of course, here to join me today is Enzo. So I better go to the comments section. I'm not sure who's watching. If anyone's watching, it might just be you and I, Enzo. But that's okay. Enzo and I have been together for a little while now, having a bit of a look-see at everything. So it's been a little bit of an exciting weekend. We're not going to, Enzo and I aren't going to discuss sad things. We're just going to talk about fun things. So this weekend is, in England, is the King's birthday. So there was what they call the Trooping of the Colours. So it's a big parade. When I was in England, they have big parades like this all the time anyway, but in particular this weekend because it's King's birthday weekend in England. So there was a nice big parade, and which I watched yesterday. And then, of course, in America today, you've got the great big, beautiful parade for the 250th birthday of
the U.S. Army.
The U.S. Army.
Which is
so
technically older than the actual country. So.
Well, technically, when you think about it. So, but yeah, so I thought we'd come on today and have a bit of a look-see and everything and talk a little bit about the history and, you know, what we know about it. I mean, I know a lot about American history. And funnily enough, I probably know more about American history than I do. Hi, Tanya. There's two people watching. Someone's lurking. Someone's lurking. But Tanya's here. But yeah, so I probably know more about the American history, as in, so like, you know, the revolution, the signing of the independence, different things. Still tons there to learn, but that's because of my love for it when I was a little girl. I probably know more about that than I actually do my own heritage, which is, you know, English. That's all right. I'm not really into paranormal stuff anyway, so if people are watching Joe, that's because they're watching paranormal, and I'm just history. I'm boring. We're boring, Enzo. Hello, Firefly. So I'll give it a few minutes, but I'm just going to put up look, I might show everybody first. How do I? No. I suppose I can just put up in the background now let me see. I did this wrong before. Stop that one. I can't put up both, Enzo. I've got to get better at figuring out what I'm doing. All right. There we go. So this is on the Royal Channel. I'll just hit play. This is yes, like this is gone. This has happened already. But yeah, when you're there, everyone knows, I went to England last September, and I stood outside Buckingham Palace, where now this is not Buckingham Palace, but I've walked through here. When I went to try and see the horses that I really wanted to see, and they weren't there. They were fixing up where the horses were standing, so I missed out on seeing the horses while I was there. I didn't get to pat one, but this was out the back. This is where they do the Trooping of the Colour, and then the King. There he is, the King and Queen. They're coming out of Buckingham Palace, but they're heading towards where the Trooping of the Colours takes place. But when I was there, I went to the Buckingham Palace. Massive, a bit overwhelming, to be honest, that something is so huge. But there you go. Friday, which Friday do you have off, Tanya? The Friday just gone or Friday coming? I'm not even sure about us here in Australia. Australia has so many public holidays, you lose track. I think I'm not sure. That might mean that we've got Monday off. I don't know. But we had, and the silly thing is, there's the children. there's little George and his sister and his mummy, Catherine. I'm not sure where. William's probably riding a horse. William, the future king. But don't they just? It's kind of like it's just really stunning to see. And when you're there, it's beautiful. Like I stood out the front of Buckingham Palace and watched them all go by. There was a parade when I was there, and it was just like, look at them. Like, and when you're there, it's just different. It's really,
Oh yeah.
but they take pride in their army the same way Americans do.
Of course.
They're all dressed up. That's one thing I used to love about America's uniforms, is the beauty of the uniform. Like when you see West Point boys and all that sort of thing in their uniform. And of course, Major Nelson with Jeannie. I liked Major Nelson's uniform too. But there you go. What's that public holiday for, Tanya? Mata Iki. Haraham. Mata Iki. But yeah, that's look at those coats. Aren't they pretty?
Wow.
But yeah, so that's the trick with the colour anyway. That's kind of where it starts, and then they all go into where the horses' nose are. But
That
and
takes
they do all
so
the-
much practice and control to get all those horses to behave.
do yeah. And you often sometimes too. Hello, Heather. Sometimes too, when you watch anything to do with the horses, it'd happen everywhere, but you often do see. It's the Buckingham Palace. The Buckingham Palace. And sometimes you see the horses run off. And the thing is, they've all got to stay. So you'll sometimes see a soldier fall off a horse. It'll be a bastard, and he falls off. And it's the other soldiers have to still maintain what they're doing. It's not like they're allowed to stop and, oh shit, let's help him up. But they do, but it's done in a different way. It's really funny. 2nd of June. Oh, well, so you've already celebrated it. Yes, it's already happened, Heather, because of course I don't know what time it'd be in England at the moment. They'd all be asleep, I think. One of my fellow soldiers fell off. I wouldn't be able to stay on my horse because I'd be laughing my ass off. Oh, did you serve? Did you firefly? I just think I was saying to Enzo before we got started, and I'll pop on the American one in a minute too. The parade that's happening. That's because that's happening now. But I just reckon the world is what it is. Humans fight. There's always wars, which is unfortunate, be they big ones or little ones, because humans just don't seem to know how to talk to each other properly. But the history behind all of this, and like when you go in, when I went to Buckingham Palace up the back, so that's the Buckingham Palace there, the very front of it. Down the side, the way you're looking, so if you're looking at the screen now, so to the left, down that road, you can go and see. I don't think they still use them because when I was there, it didn't look like there was any sign of horses, but there's all the old stables and stuff where they used to house all the horses. Like there's such history behind it, and they're also just the same as the Americans, just so, and the Australians, so on how they do everything. Everything, has to be polished properly and sitting just so, and there's no room for half-assed attempts at anything. And it's just such a proud history that goes back hundreds of years, like England way before America, because England's older obviously, but even look at America today, it's 250 years since. I'm assuming they're taking it 250 years back to the American Revolution, because that's when it started.
That'll be some celebrate, because for us, that's next year for the actual signing of the Declaration of Independence.
Declaration of Independence.
But so next year is going to be just all the red, white, and blue you can handle pretty much all year long, because that's how it was in 1976 for the bicentennial.
I've been in that park, Enzo, and I fed a squirrel in there. I found a squirrel and I fed it. I went to Buckingham Palace and then I walked across the road when I finished looking through there, which I don't think I'm autistic. I don't think I'm anything like that. But I don't know that an autistic person could deal with a tour through the Buckingham Palace because there's people just shoulder to shoulder. It's very off-putting. I couldn't wait to get out of there, to be honest. Too many people. Like it's just, shoulder to shoulder people having a look. But I want to see William. William must be on a horse because otherwise he'd be in the carriage with Catherine. I think last time I saw him, he looks awfully handsome in his uniform. Prince William's good looking anyway, but there you go. What's Heather got to say? One of the reasons I like watching SVU is I spend a lot of time walking around Central Park. Oh,
Walking around committing crimes. That's the
committing crimes, were you, Heather? Yeah, Heather. It's funny once you've been somewhere, isn't it? It's like so like I've been there, and I've seen this place with my own eyes, and it's just
or even just the opposite. You've seen something on television or the movies so many times. When I went and took the basic tour of Alcatraz Island, the old prison there in San Francisco, and I was like, wow, this is like really tiny. There's not much to it. You always see it in the movies and television. It just seems like this giant cavernous place, and it is not. It is very small.
Well, that's the thing too. Sometimes when you do, like when I was in America and I went to Waverly Hills Sanitarium, right? I've seen pictures and things of it, and it looks big. It is big, but it's also different when you see it in person. Like you go to places that you've seen on the telly and you expect, or the TV, and you expect it to be very different to what it is in person. But Buckingham Palace didn't disappoint. It was bigger than I thought it was. I knew Buckingham Palace was big, but it was bigger. Like everything was just over the top. Oh, I saw that. I saw in person the dreadful, I can only say it was dreadful, portrait of King Charles that was done all in red. And it and I saw it. I stood in front of it and I went, yeah, even in person, it's terrible. But the face, the artist, faces are really hard to get. The face was definitely King Charles. It was brilliant. And underneath the red, you could see that Charles had posed in his uniform. It's just a pity the guy ruined it with all the red. I don't know what possessed him, but I've since seen another portrait of King Charles, which is much nicer. Yeah. I've eaten a hot dog in the same place Olivia Benson ate a hot dog.
Is that why you had the hot dog there? Because you saw it on TV?
Yes, is that
water dogs?
But look at them all in them big hats. I love it. Hang on, I'll just see if I can. There's Charlie doing his job. I wonder how he's actually going with his cancer. Because I'm pretty sure correct me if I'm wrong, I think it's prostate cancer. I'm pretty sure that's what he got done with. So if that's the case, he could still have a good few years. It depends how they've caught it. But Charlie, like everybody else, would be getting checked all the time. So he would have got his treatment for it, and he'd be on bloody hormones and all sorts, wouldn't you, Charlie? But good on Charles. I don't think he should step down and let William take up. I think he should just stay king until he's too sick to be king. He's waited long enough. His mum was queen for God.
Forever.
Forever. So he's waited long enough. And people forget, it might have been you, Enzo, someone was asking me the other day about why can't kings step in and stop certain things from happening, or say things about certain political things that are happening. And that's because unfortunately the king has no power anymore. It's just he probably does have a little bit of say, but not much. So now
it wasn't me that asked that question, but it wasn't that long ago. Didn't he make some public statements about some local politics
But
just
he
like
did.
a month or two ago,
And
whatever
that's
it
why
was.
he's not
and,
supposed to. See, they're not supposed to, because the king and the queen, it was very different back in wartime. Very different back then. The queen still had to sign off on different things. Over the years, things have changed a little. I'm not sure of the ins and outs completely, but basically, politically, they're not supposed to, they've got to remain neutral. So they're not supposed to say yes to one thing and yes to another. They've got to remain neutral. I don't know why. Probably, I would dare say, probably at some point there was a chance that the monarchy and the royal family, etc., could have just been stopped. Do you know what I mean? Sort of like what they did in Russia and all that. Maybe there's something in history we don't know about where they had to barter, and in order to. But people love the royal family. I mean, some people don't, but I do. I love the history of it all, and I love the royal family, and I've grown up, with my grandparents adoring the Queen, and she was a good old stick, Queen Elizabeth. But yeah, so they have no say. So Charlie did say something, and I think it was in support of. And like even they've given the mayor of London now let me get this right. I think he was knighted. Something like that. Well, people are like, what? Why would you do that? Because he's not really a good mayor. He's not good at all. London's not in a good spot, not in a good state of affairs at all. So the king, everybody, they just keep to their charities, maintain the look, but they really have very little to do with anything. But yeah, as Heather says, where is she? They used to. So the Prime Minister had to come and talk with the Queen or the King before Queenie, and discuss what was happening, put it to her and say, well, what do you think? But really, even back then, it didn't matter really what she thought. It was going to be done. She still had a little bit of power back then, though. She could still say, what? No, or whatever. But most of the time, it was more a just out of being polite. And they still do. I think this king still does have a meeting with the Prime Minister. But so far as being able to fix things and turn around and go, there'll be no more of that. Thank you. I am the king. They're just a figurehead. And I can't think of the equivalent in America. I just can't, because you've got your president and basically what he says goes. But even he has to answer, like, it's still got to be passed through Congress and everything.
There's checks and balances in there. So.
Yeah, because otherwise that's where you can end up with not a diplomatic, like that's where you can end up with trouble.
Right.
Oh, here they come, everybody out onto the balcony. This is always my favourite part because they have a flyover.
Oh.
Yeah, so they stand there. They all come out. Where's William? Where's William? Oh, there he is. I love William. In a maternal way, because he's not that. He's only a couple of years older than my son. It's a pity Harry ended up being. I don't know what's wrong with Harry. His wife is what's wrong with Harry. But then again, he was a bit naughty. Well, Harry was always a bit naughty, but the royal family managed to kind of hide his naughtiness a little bit. They cover things up that he did and try and. What's he done this time? Another disaster. Righto. Well, we don't want the press to get a hold of that. So they protected Harry, which you would. I mean, you've got to, I guess, to a point. But look at William there. Isn't he handsome? And the kids, George is getting tall. George is getting tall. I love the little one. Louis is his name. He's generally so cheeky. Whenever you see him doing anything, he's always really cheeky, and they've got to tell him to behave himself. I don't know. Americans don't say cheeky. Oftentimes, if I say cheeky, Americans go, what? Spunky. Like he's got a bit of spunk to him. Is that the same? Yeah. He's like,
Americans would say he's a smart ass.
Oh well, he's just funny. He's a kid and he does kid things, And often his sister
Right.
will say, "Stop it," But yeah, I'm glad that Catherine has recovered from her cancer. That's really good. And Kamala, Kamala, I was going to call her Kamala. Oh my God. God.
Whoa.
Oh, oops.
Cross the streams there. Yeah.
Well, we don't want to remember her too much, do we? Dear. I think Elizabeth I began the changes to monarchy. We know, it all, a little bit naughty, like naughty in the good way. Like, so Australians and English people call it being a little bit cheeky, so a little bit. You shouldn't have done that, but it's kind of funny. But yeah. So unfortunately, the royal family, they still. What they say, like if King Charles came out and said, "Oh, I'm dreadfully disappointed in how such and such has happened, and so and so and so and so," it would still have impact. But there's so many people nowadays that also don't like, even within the government, don't want the royal family in any way, shape, or form. And I think that's awfully sad because the history with the royal family is exactly what it is. It's historical. It's what's the word I'm looking for? Tradition, like it's a nice thing. It's fun to see all of the big parades and all that sort of thing. So I don't know. I just think it is what it is.
Coordinate with each other for like the tilt of the hat. Okay, we're tilting from this side to this side.
Well, actually, I think the hats are tilted on the same side, and that's the other thing. Tradition. The hats, it is just what it is, and the clothes that they wear, it's all traditional. I think that's why when Meghan Markle, God, I can't stand her. When she first came along, it was like, oh, this will be lovely, and everybody was like, oh, this will be wonderful, this will be lovely. Finally, Harry's found somebody, and isn't she a pretty young thing, and so on and so forth. And nobody really knew anything, but she was. Oh, she must have been a handful. Well, I think she was because she would. Yeah, she would wear the hats and stuff, but you'd see her, she just didn't. She wasn't. It's a shame. It's a true shame.
Yeah, she was not royal family material. That was not her thing.
And it's a shame because if you think about it, if she had have done the right thing by her husband and his legacy, his history, they could be standing there now, and they, as a couple, could have made a hell of a more, far bigger impact on the world, being part of the royal family. Now, all they are is, a dumb couple.
Her own arrogance is. She could have been, like you say, far more influential and had far more visibility had she basically played along and fit into her role as part of the royal family.
Exactly. No, Heather, because it was last night, but I just thought I'd show. It's only got a few more minutes to go, and then I'm going to go over to the American parade. Ooh, I'll go over to I just want to see the flyover. Let Enzo see the flyover. Hang on. Let me go. Maybe. I hope they got the flyover in it. Let's see what's happening.
They flew over a minute ago, didn't they?
We'll be talking, mummy. Normally they show it though.
Let's do the wave.
Everybody cheers. Oh, bye. Bye. See you next time. There we go. Oh, George is a cute little thing. But look, there you go. All right. I'll get rid of it. Oh,
so,
cool.
but this wasn't
actually. The bloody flyover. Hang on. Wait a minute. I'm just going to show you.
So yesterday wasn't really Charles's birthday, right? It was just they just celebrated on that day.
The day they celebrated. Yeah, that was always the same. Here's the planes. Yeah. I turned it off too quickly. What's this, Enzo? Is that pretty?
Yeah.
I wish the world could just be a nicer place. There we go. I'll get rid of that. So let me see in the background because I'm missing share screen. This one, share. Oop. No, I better mute some bits because I'm bound to. But look at the uniforms, aren't they gorgeous? Oh, there, we've got subtitles, so it's all good.
This is West Point.
Yeah. Yeah, I saw, did you see Trump's speech at West Point a couple of weeks ago now, wasn't it? That was a good speech. Most of Trump's speeches are good. They make you giggle.
Yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, I've the parade is live at the moment still. It's a long parade. They must be, you'd have a sore bottom if you were sitting down. I'm amazed that Trumpy's still watching.
The way that they arranged it was like in historical, they had people marching in like historical accurate garb and stuff like that. And they started back with, year one, in 1775.
Yeah, they did.
And, so they would, jump through the decades as it was going, and different equipment that they used, they had horses out there hauling cannons and stuff like that around. All of that, right? Like when you sent me the text that we were going to go on, I was, they were just past Desert Shield, Desert Storm, so it'd been my era.
Yeah. Because for those of you who don't know, Enzo served his country.
Not in the Army. I did 24 years in the Air Force. I did have plenty of interactions with the Army on a few occasions. It was nice seeing the 1st Cavalry folks with all of their helicopters all in. That's where I was interacting with them back in 2007. Camp Taji, just north of Baghdad. Worked with them sporadically in there. But they do great work.
Yeah, and you got to do fun things, like you said, when you got to fire a GUN, because I'm still sure you can't say those words, but that would have been fun, so long as it was at a target, which,
sure,
yeah, not a human. But there's fun things. I think, like my son's in the Army, and I know there's that comrade type thing, the camaraderie, and you do become really close friends, like family with most. I don't know, do you still have friends from your days in the Air Force?
I do. Most of them have all moved away and gone their separate ways, because I retired in 2009. So that's actually a fair amount of time where everybody just kind of drifts away, out of sight, out of mind kind of thing, unfortunately. But every once in a while, I'll run into somebody that usually will recognize me first before I'll recognize them, as odd as that sounds. So I guess that means I haven't changed that much. But, which is totally not. I've gotten much fatter.
Stop it. Stop it. I just kind of find that's with my son in particular, like they do have good friendships that are built on joining, and especially once you've served. I was watching one of the advertisements that they have there for, so I'm looking away from the camera because I'm looking for something. One of the advertisements that they had for helping returned servicemen that have been injured get housing, because there's a big housing list. So there's a charity there, and some of the soldiers there that have been, I'm assuming, Afghanistan, but served and been the victims of bombs and whatever, and lost limbs, and hearing them talk about how how it's difficult for them now, you know, and that how some of them, it's hard when if they fall off something and they're on the bathroom floor, they've got to shout out to their kids to come and help them, that sort of thing.
Right.
And I know there's a waiting list, but I just think out of everybody in your country, our country too, the first people that should have first anything should be the men and women that have gone across and fought to keep freedom for our country or another and come back injured or hurt in any way. They should get first priority to everything, in my opinion, because they signed up knowing full well that there's that chance that they could have
Right.
to go to war and lose their life. And therefore, to me,
It's
they should.
gotten better, especially for like honestly, like the last 20 years, 15, 20 years, the advancements for prosthetics and things like that is light years over what it was just, like I say, 20 years ago, where you basically either got, the peg leg or a hook kind of a thing. And now you get stuff to where
Well,
if they're wearing long pants or long sleeves, you may not even notice.
well, true. But then I think I'm not 100% sure how it goes with you, but I think funding it is another thing in it as well. Like, so they might have better stuff, but who
Usually
pays for it?
from the people I've talked to is the initial setup of getting like a prosthetic arm or leg or something like that is fantastic. Like the first part where you get your first fittings and you're trying it out and all that. But it's like years later when you need like, hey, I need, this is where this joint's wearing out. What can you help me out with? And like, sorry, can't help you. Or come back in 7 months. Or we'll
Yeah.
put the part on order or whatever it is. The follow-up part for continuing maintenance of your new arm or leg is the issue.
Yeah, and I don't know, but I just think yeah. Oh, it's interesting. Watching them train doesn't get me anxious. What gets me more anxious is when you know that they're being deployed, and when you watch the news or anything like that, it's often watered down reporting. Never used to be. When I was a kid, I wasn't allowed to watch the news. Like my mum and dad say, "No, you're not watching the news," because they did report properly. Like you did know people were, and the newspapers were covered in photographs of what it was. So now I think it's sort of, oh, hey, Laura, I didn't spot you there because I was too busy looking for something. It's very tricky, but it's hard too, because you have people that, what do they call them, bloody say bad things about our soldiers and stuff, and they bloody shouldn't. I better not play any music. I'm assuming he's going to sing "I Love America," some kind of "I Love American" song, but so he should.
Got the cowboy hat. I'm sure it's a country song. They're all usually pretty patriotic.
Yeah.
And I was a lightning bolt. I just realized that.
But I just think this is fantastic. I think that it's all, hello, hi, Carla. I just think that people should celebrate and be proud of their boys and girls in uniform. Every country should. Because at the end of the day, if it wasn't for them and the boys in blue, like police officers, as much as people go, oh, bloody police or this or that, I will bugger you. If the police weren't there, you'd be in real trouble. Like, good luck. There's good and bad in everything. There's good soldiers, there's bad soldiers. There's good policemen, there's bad policemen. That's in everything, but it's minuscule. Like, the goodness outweighs the odd one or two idiots that might join up, and they're dickheads. But I think we wouldn't be safe without them. And they deserve all the love and respect, because that's I'm looking at that. Like I said, my son's in the army, and I look at all these guys and girls in uniform, and I think that's someone's kid, that's someone's son or daughter, and especially during the Afghanistan time, You know, one of my son's friends, or a few of them, but one in particular that I love and adore, she was in Afghanistan. She saw it all. You know, she's home now. She's still in the army, but she's home. And I just think, you know, I think we forget. People forget, and you should be reminded. And that's why I think this particular parade is brilliant, reminding everybody of what, you know, what's come and what's still to come, and we should be proud. But and when people say thank you for your service, so they should. Like, I'm always very respectful whenever I go to any of our parades and stuff, and I see some of the Vietnam vets. I always make an effort to shake their hand and say thank you, because when they came back, it was horrific for them. You know, they were called names and they weren't looked after at all.
They were not treated well.
No, and we still have problems. I know there's still a lot to fix, especially in this country. We still have problems with our boys and girls coming back with PTSD, like, you know, which leads them to, unfortunately, say goodbye to this world, which is horrendous. I've got a friend, Julianne Finney. She has been fighting for years since she lost her son, David. David was trying to bring awareness while he was living and telling people, hey, we need more help, psychiatric like care when we come home from these things. Because they were getting, I don't know, again, I can't speak for America, but here in Australia, there's something stupid, a 3 to 6 month waiting list time to get in and see a professional to discuss what's happening with you mentally. You know, and
when somebody hits that wall, 3 to 6 hours, it would be almost too long. But
months, yeah. And you know, just having all the hoops that they have to jump through and things that get covered up. You know, they do. The government doesn't like to admit that there's issues. So it happens everywhere, I'm sure, every country. But I know the UK has issues with that as well. And it's just a shame. It shouldn't be. Like I said, when they come home, if there's something wrong, boom, everybody else, it gets dropped like a hot potato. I don't care, except if it's like other people might. I'm just saying, housing, healthcare, etc. Everyone else, hot potato, drop you because that boy or that girl has just come back from a war zone, and we've got to look after them because they put their life on the line to make sure we're safe. So now we've got to say thank you and look after them. But it doesn't happen. So it's sad. But I think it's getting better, and there's people like my friend Julianne that are fighting and still fighting with the government to get things done. And it's funny, election times come around here in this country, and all of the politicians make all these big promises. Oh, we're going to do this and that and the other, and they never do any of it. But it's getting, I think people are getting better at recognising what's needed. And I love things like this because this is reminding people, you know. So it'd be interesting to see how many people sign up to join up over the next coming month or so. I'd say a lot. Actually,
one of the reasons they're doing this is because basically ever since Trump took office, enlistment into all of the different military branches has just skyrocketed. So people want to join. People are proud of their country. People want to do their part to defend it. Yeah, and people should be proud. And that's what I've always said to you bloody Americans. Like, be proud. I know your history. I'm not intricate in it, but I know your history better than I know Australian history and English history. And those George Washington and all those men back in the day that wrote your Constitution, brilliant minds, absolutely brilliant minds in the way that they approached things and did things. And yeah, absolutely, people should be proud. That's why your Constitution still holds up, because of how it was written. You know, it's very, very smart men back then. I know that they say George Washington wasn't the best soldier. He wasn't terribly good at what he did, but it doesn't matter. He had balls. Like George, he had balls.
Like, he got things done. So not everybody.
He's a fairly good strategist, and if he saw the opportunity, he knew when to take it.
Yep. Yeah. So I just think when you look back on your history, like I was, I might watch it actually, but I haven't found where I can get it. There's been a mini series on the, I'm pretty sure it's because Kelsey Grammer does the voiceover, the narration, and I'm trying to think what channel it was on, but I should have. I could Google it now, I suppose. But yeah, they're on the American Revolution, like so Washington and all that, and why and all that sort of thing. And it was interesting. I was listening to someone talk Joe Rogan had a fellow on that makes documentaries for, is it PBS? Is that what you call your public
public broadcasting? Yeah.
Yeah, and he was talking about the Tea Party, the famous Boston Tea Party, and it said that the soldiers that were throwing the tea over because they were against the tariffs or the taxes, I think tariffs or taxes on the tea, that they were dressed as Native Americans, and it was said that they dressed like Native Americans because they wanted them blamed for the thing. But actually, in actual fact, that's not what they dressed like that for. It was a message to England to say that we don't want your crap and we're not bowing to you anymore. We are now native. This is our country. Yep. And so that was what they were saying. They weren't really trying to blame it on the because let's face it, why would American Indian care about tea and taxes on tea? They didn't drink it. So it was like a message sent back to George to like, yeah, screw you. But when you read through the history of everything, like that time period was fascinating, and what they actually accomplished was brilliant. And look at your country now. It has its ups and downs. Everybody's country has its ups and downs. But at the moment, despite people trying, and they're doing a good job at being assholes, but despite people trying to make everything horrible, I think the majority of Americans are proud of their country and happy with what's happening, and they should be. It's going to be okay, I think, so long as nothing bad happens to anybody. That's all. But I agree. But yeah. Let's see. Where do you travel to? Just around America, or have you been other places, Ace? But yeah. So there you go. Too much singing. Get to the. Or maybe is it over? Maybe
that's part of the. It's a parade and like a celebration. It's a birthday party.
Yeah.
Basically, and they were. I mean, by now, it was like 45 minutes ago when I last watched it, when they were up to Desert Shield, Desert Storm kind of area. So that I'm sure they've finished everything off by that, as far as the rolling parade of people with period, approved costumes and vehicles and, weaponry and stuff like that. So
I saw footage of Trumpy go and say hello to the fellas erecting the flagpole there at the White House. There was footage of him. He got off the chopper and he walked straight over to where they were putting up the flagpole, and he's talking to someone, probably security, that come over to say something, and he's looking at, and he's going, blah, blah, blah. You can't hear what he's saying, but blah, 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 what's this? And then he beckons to the workman and says, come over here. So the workmen come over and they took a selfie with the president, and he's shook their hands, and he's, good job. I'm like, that's good. I don't think another president would have bothered, because that's just
right.
workman. He says hello to everybody. So I don't know. I think it's pretty good. But yeah, that'll be interesting. And he's talking about, because his point was, I watched one of our Australian ladies interview him in the other day. I watched the interview, and I liked her interview because she asked him about when he was a little boy, and she asked him about his dad. And that was nice. But he was saying that he's going to build a ballroom there at the White House. And I thought, and he said they've been trying to do it for years, but it's never got done. And I thought, I wonder why that is. But yeah, he had a point. It must cost a fortune to even just do what they do every year without the ballroom, because they have to erect a tent, like so a big, humongous tent, and that's where they hold the ceremonies or the balls or whatever. And I thought, well, it makes a hell of a lot more sense to just build a permanent building. So, and he knows how to build things, so good on him. It'd be interesting.
Good on that.
I'm sure it'd be covered in gold. But why not? Why not? You should be proud of your capital city and your buildings. So yeah. Oh, there he is, Mr. Vance. JD. But yeah, I could turn it up, but I'd probably
brought
get
his
done.
kids in too. It's the White House stream. I don't think they would. You're not going to get struck by the White House.
Across state lines to be here today.
Oh, let's see.
This is your national capital. Welcome to Washington, D.C. We are thrilled to have you. This evening, as we celebrate the 250th anniversary of the United States Army, the oldest branch of the greatest fighting force ever known to man, I want to say to all the soldiers all across our nation's capital and all across the world, happy birthday, soldiers. We're proud of you. And I want to say you represent an unbroken line of greatness, of excellence. And one of the things the President of the United States has told his entire administration, from the Vice President on down, is that we must remember that the young men and women who put on the uniform and serve this nation are our most precious resource. We must honor them, we must respect them, we must fight for them, and that's exactly what the Trump administration aims to do every single day. And so to our soldiers, we're so proud of you, and let me tell you that the way that we honor and respect you is, number one, we never ask you to go to war unless you absolutely have to. And number two, when we do ask you to go to war, we give you the weapons and the support needed to kick the hell out of the enemy and come back home safely.
Well, they do now.
Yeah, there's
the last thing standing between the main event, and that is a dangerous place to be with a lot of soldiers in the audience. So let me just say a couple of quick additional thoughts. First of all, June the 14th is, of course, the birthday of the Army. It is, of course, the birthday of the President of the United States, and happy birthday, Mr. President. But I would get in trouble if I didn't mention that it's also my wedding anniversary, and so to my lovely wife,
watch out, honey, no wedding anniversary,
and thank you for everything that you do for our country. So without further ado, it is my pleasure to introduce the 45th and 47th Commander-in-Chief of the United States military, President Donald J. Trump.
My God, we'll be here for 2 hours.
Yeah, I know. He starts talking. We'll be here for a while.
Hang on, I'll just turn it down for a minute. Melania is very elegant, isn't she?
Oh,
As
yeah,
a first
really
lady. She reminds me of Jackie O. Jackie O?
Yep.
Onassis. You know, Kennedy. Jackie O. Well, I say Jackie O. Jackie Onassis. Jackie Kennedy. What do you guys call her?
Jackie O usually.
Yeah.
Thank you to Vice President Vance, and thank you to our wonderful First Lady.
I always like listening to his speeches because he generally says something.
Fighting force,
and you go,
he'll skew off topic and then steer it back.
United States Army. Thank you very much. Because the Army keeps us free, you make us strong, and tonight you have made all Americans very proud. They're watching from all over the world, actually. Made them all very proud. Every other country celebrates their victories. It's
who don't you call, Tanya?
America.
You got my number.
That's what
What did I miss?
when you asked, what do you call
Watching this
what do you
magnificent
call
display,
Jackie O?
I'm with
our
you.
souls
I'm
are
missing.
filled
I'm
with
not even listening to
gratitude
what I'm saying, am
for
I?
every generation of
Well, she's
warriors who
dead,
have
so we
worn the
can't call
uniform
her
all the
anyway.
way back to the very beginning. So to every veteran across our land and right here in our nation's capital, including 6 recipients of the Congressional Medal of Honor, we love you, we honor you, and we salute your noble service to our flag and to our country. As we celebrate tonight, we also think of the hundreds of thousands of Army soldiers who have made the supreme sacrifice for our nation and selflessly laid down their lives in every war, from the Revolution to the War on Terror. To the Gold Star families with us today, the courage of your heroes is the bedrock on which our entire nation stands. We thank you.
They're the ones I feel sorry for, the
Today we
Gold Star
commemorate
families,
an
because that
event
shouldn't
that
have
did
happened.
not just
That
change
was
American history,
terrible.
but changed the history of the entire world. With the creation of America's Army on June 14th, 1775, liberty got its shield and the freedom got its sword. Those first Army patriots in the American Revolution fought against a fearsome enemy and impossible odds, but they were armed with a righteous cause. They were led by an indomitable commander, a truly great man, General George Washington, and they were united by an eternal creed. Their motto is victory or death. Over the past 2.5 centuries, our warriors have shown unrivaled valor on fields of battle around the globe. With the frostbitten feet and bloody fist, they have marched into the flames and fury of combat, charged up mountains, stormed beaches, waded through torrents of gunfire, and leapt into skies thick with smoke and shrapnel. The U.S. Army has driven bayonets into the heart of sinister empires, crushed the ambitions of evil tyrants. Beneath the threads of American tanks, it's done so well, it's done so much, and sent the devil himself flying into full retreat. Time and again, America's enemies have learned that if you threaten the American people, our soldiers are coming for you. Your defeat will be certain, your demise will be final.
I certainly wouldn't muck
downfall will
around.
be
I
total
wouldn't do anything
and
against
complete.
America. I go, no worries. Whatever you want.
Because our soldiers never give up, never surrender, and never, ever quit. They fight, 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 and they win, win, win. And that's why no institution in history has entered more names into the roster of American heroes than the U.S. Army, the Congressional Medal of Honor, more than anyone.
I'm just going to turn Trumpy down for a second while he's giving his speech. I just wonder if the, because I noticed a crowd that they panned over to just a minute ago, how have they kept, I wonder how they're keeping those ding-dongs out of there. They'd have to have probably National Guard and everything surrounding areas to keep them at bay. I haven't seen anything with that, which is good.
I haven't seen anybody. I think that's a bit too much. You know, dealing with your local cops is one thing.
Yeah, but dealing with an army.
Literally on the Army's birthday, you've got thousands of Army folk there that are more than willing to drop their cake and go into a scuffle.
Hey, Jonathan. Yeah, I because I was last night before you realize sometimes how watching a lot of negative stuff can actually affect you mentally about your own, what's going on in your own life. So things that normally wouldn't necessarily upset you, you start to worry about more because so much negativity. And I was watching something yesterday and they were talking about the Iran thing, and they were talking about the what do you call it? They were talking about the like the upcoming not a king protests. And then talking about who's, you know, and like you're up against billionaires that are paying people anywhere from 200, I think anywhere from 200 to 1,000, depends what your role in the protests was going to be as to how much you're getting paid. And I'm like, that's not a protest, that's a paid protest. That's
It's a gig. It's a gig economy. Yeah.
Yeah, so they're advertising and they're preying on people that are struggling and can't buy food this week or whatever. So you see the thing, you apply, you get told what you're going to do, you go out there with your little pre-manufactured signs. So therefore, people who actually do want to honestly protest peacefully and do, you know, which you're allowed to do, it's not them that are getting the attention on the news. So I was watching all of that and I sort of thought, oh God, this is so depressing. And then I ended up watching the King's, you know, the parade, in England. So I just sort of think it's interesting that if you watch so much negative stuff, it can actually make you just feel really, really flat. So I thought today I saw the beginning of the parade and I thought, this is wonderful, you know, you know, yeah, Banshee. Well, yeah, although don't get me started. All I'll say about our current government is shame, 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 shame. But yeah, we are pretty safe here for now. We're not invisible. Nobody's invincible, but it's good to say that you are, because it makes makes your enemies think twice. Nothing's invincible, but I tell you what,
a better movie poster.
Yeah, I can tell you now. If anybody did it, with Trumpy as the president, anybody does anything now stupid, I can watch out. you're just like he was talking the other day. If anyone knocks him off, he's given orders. If anyone does me in, if anything happens, he said I'll obliterate. I can't even say the word. In other words, completely destroy the country that does it. So it's interesting. Hey, Banshee. But yeah.
Melania lighten her hair. Looks more blonde than I remember it.
Yeah, it looks like she might have had some highlights done. Although her hair's always been a bit blondish, but it does look very good pointing that out. Yeah. Isn't she a pretty lady?
She is.
Oh, hang on. What's going on here? I'm missing something important. He's got a folded flag, though. That's always sad.
Mr. President, on behalf of the United States Army, the Army Golden Knights, I would like to present to you this flag, which was flown over our nation's capital in free fall during the Army's 250th birthday celebration.
Now, his mummy would be proud. That's awesome.
Yeah, the Army Knights, it's the Army's parachute team. They parachuted in right behind them, and one of them has that flag, which they, as soon as they touch down, they fold it up and they presented it to.
Oh, I see. Oh, that's Ed.
Oh,
yeah.
Here's, buy our war machines, Lockheed Martin.
Oh dear. Oh, but Lockheed's got all the UFOs, Enzo.
That's right. Get all the stupid stuff.
Oh dear. Sometimes it doesn't hurt to poke a snake, Carla. Sometimes it doesn't hurt to remind the snake that you might be able to bash him over the head with a shovel. No, why would he go to jail? He didn't do anything. Don't get me started. No. Oh, he's going to sing his song.
Lee
Greenwood.
I guess we know what he's doing.
Yeah. He comes out and sings. He's got a very nice singing voice, but I won't play it because I'll get done for sure.
Yeah.
But yeah. But I just think it's very nice. I wish here in Australia that, as I said before, I wish we did have parades to honour our, like I said, we do have our annual parade where we honour our fallen soldiers and things like that. But every now and then, just to hey, just to remind you guys that you are appreciated and etc. At least the crowd there looks happy, don't they?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and that's the thing.
because
I, I,
I don't know
Uh-huh.
when exactly it's going to occur. It seems like it's still kind of light out, but they're supposed to have a giant fireworks
Firecrackers,
display.
fireworks. Yeah. It's just look how thick that glass is. It's pretty scary though
It's-
to know that. Yeah, it's very, very scary to know that while we're watching this and thinking this is wonderful, this is lovely, and it's great to honour
yeah,
everybody.
someone is scheming and trying to figure out how to get past the defenses.
It's just you know, how to get him, and I just think, and it's really scary. Like I was watching something. As I say, I was watching that fellow tell everybody that's in America that's part of the Islam thing. Yep, we want you to kill this one, this one, this one, and you've got the backing of Iran when you do it. I'm like, fuck, you know. And then you've got all these silly parades happening, not parades, the protest in LA, and I'm like, oh my god, you know. And it's a shame. It's just a shame. So much negative stuff, and you watch it. And my dad. It was interesting. My dad sent me something yesterday. Look at this, and it was Pocahontas talking about how the congressman was in that came into that press conference and was
Oh yeah,
tackled.
just barged in and started screaming, and
Yeah.
oh, I wonder why he got tackled to the ground and
Yeah,
handcuffed out in the hallway.
but my dad sent a clip of her going, "This is terrible," and I'm like, I said, "Is that all you've seen on the subject, Dad?" And he goes, "Oh, isn't it? It's disgusting." I went, "Okay." So I had actually been, because I watch everything, I try to. I actually saw the press conference with her, where she's talking right at the beginning. About 5 minutes in, you start to hear yelling and whatever, and she's looked over. Obviously, she kept going, but she's looked over and obviously seen somebody rushing at her. That's when they grab him, and it's once they've grabbed him and they start pushing him back that he says, "Oh, I'm a congressman," and I'm like, "Dude, you
At that
can't."
point, it's far too late.
He's lucky he didn't get slam tackled there, or worse, because she's had death threats. They've all had death threats, and here's this dickhead racing in through the doors and charging in the podium. So I sent that to my dad, and I said, "Watch this, Dad." He deserved what he got. Simple. He did a very stupid thing. But that's the thing, when you watch all these different, and I watch all the different stories, it's how they edit it. So the way they edit on certain places, they cut out what happened before, and it looks like he's come in and announced himself and they've tackled him. That's not what happened. Yep. He rushed the podium. And so it's a bit scary, because people are watching what they see on the news and taking that as gospel, instead of going, "Oh, shit, let me have a look at that, and let me look at that a little bit closer." If they did, then they'd see where they're being hoodwinked, you know. So it's pretty scary. But there you go. Such is it. That's enough on that subject. Look at all the crowd. Don't they look happy? It's getting dark now. What time do they let the firecrackers off? Or fireworks?
Because it's 8:30. Usually they wait at least like
until it's quite dark.
On Independence Day. Usually it's like a half an hour after sunset. That's when it's dark enough to where you can get a really good display. I don't know if they're going to wait that long. I don't know what else they've got planned after Lee Greenwood sings his thing.
Actually, I do have questions, Enzo. You know how everyone in America has their Second Amendment rights? So I'm going to avoid using the word that could trigger people into going, "Oh, she said the word." But for events like this, how do they? So you've got an event like that where you've got a crowd and the soldiers are walking by, and you've got the president up there. Granted, he's behind, and maybe that's why, but he's behind the bulletproof stuff. But look at all the thousands and thousands of people. There's no way to guarantee that there's not a massive amount of those people with their Second Amendment rights.
What it is this whole area out there where they're at, all of those people have all gone through a checkpoint. So they have basically like a metal detector. Like you
okay. So we know we're
They
safe.
have to come through. They're checking their backpacks and all that stuff to make sure, you don't have something inappropriate in there. I'm sure
Okay.
nobody's bringing in booze and, beers or anything like that. And they've
Geez,
got
look,
that they've got that whole area kind of cordoned off, and you can only come in certain places, and they'll open up the exits once everything's over, kind of a thing. But, where you can kind of go any direction after that, because it'll be over. But
because I was
there's been a lot of security mixed up in this.
Yeah.
That's why you don't see, some of the other shenanigans that you've seen in other cities past week going on in there.
Yeah, even those other shenanigans, I sort of watch and think, geez, it's bad enough what they're doing, like the rocks and the Molotov cocktails, and oh my God, it's really, really bad. Like that's bad enough. But I sort of thought with your Second Amendment, geez, it's lucky that no one's hurt worse. I had to laugh at the footage of our Australian reporter. That guy absolutely aimed for her. I'm not quite sure. I don't know if you saw that footage, but yeah, the Australian reporter, and she's and she's trying to move back, and then in the background you see the National Guard. I'm pretty sure it was a National Guardsman. Might have been a copper, but it turns and just goes bang and gets her in the butt. And I'm like, oh, rubber bullet, it hurt. But I saw some people being hit with the rubber bullets, like almost point blank, and they just like, ow, 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 and moved back, but came back for more. I'm like, you're nuts.
Yeah, they have different levels of rubber bullets that they use. They use like the actual hard rubber bullets. That'll hurt you a lot. And if they actually were to hit you like in your stomach area where you don't have like your ribs or anything because they would actually break a rib at close range and actually do damage to internal organs at close range like that. They now have. It's not rubber. It's more of like a super thick foam. It'll still get your attention. It'll still make a loud noise, but it won't do permanent damage to where you need to go to the hospital afterwards.
Like she didn't care. They talked to her later. She didn't whoop whoop. She knew where she was or whatever. And she wasn't exactly dressed like a reporter, I have to say. She was. Most reporters, females generally and males, are generally in some kind of garb that you can definitely see. So from the policeman, thank you, Kevin, from the policeman's perspective, he's probably looked and hasn't actually noted, or even if he did note, he was just obviously very peed off. So who cares? It is what it is. But even she didn't really care. Like later on, it is what it is. At least she can say she's been hit with a. I saw one fellow in hospital saying that he got. By the LAPD got hit and is losing a nut because he was shot in the groin.
Wow.
And I'm like, well, dude, I've seen that footage too. And you egged him on and you pushed and you pushed and you pushed. You don't see the footage where he gets done, but you certainly see what was leading up to it. And I'm thinking, you're lucky you didn't get hit sooner, dickhead. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? Like
that's the thing that usually that's the thing that makes me laugh the most with that I've seen over the last week of watching all the different coverage from all the different things is people that like go right up to that line and are just antagonizing these people. And finally they'll go over that line where it's just one, they'll do something where it's too much. And they, get taken down and they act so surprised. Oh my God, I can't believe it. They're arresting me for just getting up in their face and poking them in the eye and, throwing stuff at them. And
I can't believe it. I only dropped 3 bricks on their car while they were driving. I saw footage, like here in Australia, and I think in America too. There's actually been deaths occur where young kids have thrown bricks from a bridge and as the car's coming, it's gone through the windscreen and killed the driver. And they were doing that to the police cars, standing on the bridge and throwing rocks. And as the police cars are coming to go under the bridge, like I was just, that's attempted murder.
Yeah.
Like I mean, they've made a whole heap of arrests, so hopefully they've got some of these idiots. But
I like the little firefly fireworks when they shoot those. Those are my favorite.
Yeah, I can see that. Look at that. But it's always been, from what I've always seen, the only kind of protests that get good attention are indeed, and there have been there's always a lot. It's a good protest. The quietly walking through the street to get to like be it your, in America's instance, I guess, Capitol Hill, but in Australia, just getting to like the main building of Parliament or something like that. And you stand there, you've got your signs, you're respectful, and somebody gets up in front of the group that's a representative for the group and gives a speech on why we're protesting, and that's a good protest, because oftentimes those people that are speaking on behalf are the ones that also get invited in to have some discussion, and peaceful protest brings it brings it to the attention of everybody else, like, oh, I didn't know that. But in my whatever I've seen, all these idiots throwing things, burning things, spitting in policemen's faces, all that. So I think that all that gets is exactly what it's getting from me. Absolutely no sympathy, and you're idiots, and you should be locked up. Get no sympathy from me, because your message is one of hate and one of violence, and therefore I don't want to listen to you. That's how I feel.
You know, the history of, you know, peaceful protests the world over, it can be effective when done correctly. You know, Martin Luther King is a prime example of that. There were never any fights or brawls or any of that other stuff. It was just, you know, the basically sit-ins and stuff like that, where, you know, we will not obey kind of thing. And that did move that line forward for them. But nobody likes it when you're going out there and just causing havoc and blowing stuff up and catching AI robot cars on fire and stuff like that. You know, great. Now you've got the AI mad at us. You know, you ever heard of you know, Terminator? Come on.
Yeah, and that's the thing too. Like with the Martin Luther King march, just because I was doing research on that not long ago, there was one march where they did have to get him out of there and finish the march early, and that was because not the people that were protesting were being good and behaving themselves, but there were people that wanted to get into it and cause trouble and make it look like a violent protest, and so they broke it. They had to break it because it was violent, and it wasn't the people that were protesting. It was people that were paid or organised to go in and create trouble, and that's what happens. It happens everywhere. It happened, as Kevin was discussing there, the January 6th thing. You look at the history behind that, and it was people went there and were actually quite peaceful until certain people opened up the gates and said, come on in. And then there were certain people there that were troublemakers. So
and those troublemakers should surely, you know, have to pay the consequences for that.
Absolutely.
Seeing an open door with the guard saying, yeah, come on in. Oh, okay. You walk in and you're taking pictures. You're walking politely between the velvet ropes and all of that stuff. Why is that person like almost 3 years in jail? Because there were plenty of people that were in exactly that situation. They literally, little old ladies, grandmas.
That girl, you know, that lady that got killed on the day.
Unarmed person that, you know, granted, you know, they didn't know the full, you know, none of it was right. None of that whole situation was right. No,
and that was shocking. And they go, oh, policemen were killed and everything. No, they weren't. Again, see, they watch the normal news and listen, and they're getting told the incorrect information. And that's why the normal news is shit. That's why people with any intelligence don't watch it anymore, because they just bullshit to you.
Their viewing numbers reflect that. A lot of people drop it. So
and that poor lady that died, that was killed, shot. I mean, she was at the time that she died, and there's footage of her in the building. She was actually trying to settle people down, and then for whatever reason, bing bang boom, gone, just like that. And she was unarmed. She was nothing. She was just, you know, I can't remember. I'd have to remember, refresh my memory. I'm pretty sure the guy got in trouble for that. because it was
Sort of,
nonsensical.
slightly, a slight
Slightly.
reprimand. They didn't lose their job. They didn't get drummed out of because they weren't Secret Service. They were congressional.
Yeah, the ones that are in the
security.
and look,
Yeah.
look. I suppose look at it from his perspective. Walk in his shoes for 5 seconds, I guess. I still don't know why her though, because when you see the footage and you watch it, she's not doing anything, but other people are. So maybe
Mhm.
I'll walk in his shoes for a minute. Maybe he was terrified at that moment and frightened and scared, and he's reacted the wrong way, and that happened. But yeah, but I don't know. But it's still,
And that's-
they still
that's one of
are
those-
saying about the National Guard and that, oh, he never called the National. He bloody did call the National Guard
Many
there,
times, yeah.
and it was Pelosi. As she said no, and still you watch the news and they still say blame it on him, and I'm like, fuck me, excuse my French, but can you people, ignorant people that listen to dickheads, please research and have a look. That's not what happened. So I think that's why there's so many people. If you watch the regular news and that's all you watch, then that's what you will assume happened, and it doesn't matter. But yeah, someone was pointing, I think it was Jesse, whatever his name is, on the Fox at 5 or whatever, who said that was a 6-hour thing. A 6-hour thing. This was a 6-day thing that's just happened, and people are still comparing. So I don't know. It's a nightmare. Oh, isn't she a pretty girl? But there you go.
It always amazes me for women that were in the military, and they pull their hair so tight back, and they got a little bun thing in the back, and then I would see them like, outside of work kind of thing. See them,
and you wouldn't recognize them.
Down. I never could recognize them. It's like, what the hell are you? What are you doing? It was actually when I was in Iraq in 2007. There were these two, female soldiers that were guarding this one back gate that we always had to go in and out of, and we were always, hey, how you doing? You guys got enough water? We got like this Kool-Aid mix stuff if you want. And, you set up like, no, we're good. Okay, thanks, bye. And that was it. And then we're all like going into the dining facility, which I got to tell you, the chow hall there was amazing. It was, if you walk out of there hungry, it's your own damn fault. They had some really good food there. But anyways, we're walking in there, and we see these two women go by, and they're like, what? You're not going to say hi to us today? It's like, who the hell are you? Because they had their full battle rattle and a helmet with goggles and like a dust mask thing, and they literally did this, and they're like, oh yeah, you're the two from the back gate.
Well, that's the thing. The girls here in Australia, it's the same. I think it's just probably part of the uniform. They've always usually got their hair pulled back nice and tight because it fits under your hat properly and it does all that.
Yep.
Some of them just cut their hair short. I wish they wouldn't though. I mean, keep your pretty locks, because that's just it. When you go out afterwards, you might like to let your hair.
For a military environment, I kind of understand. It's still a better look if you have longer hair. Myself, but I understand for women that do cut their hair very short. I get it.
Yeah. Oh, and look, if you were, mind you, the young lass that I know that went to Afghanistan, she didn't cut her hair short, but if you were, well, I don't think it happens. You can correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think we send our women to the front line still, because that can be, I don't know. I even as a female, I know how that could be dangerous for the males, because the male urge would be to protect the female. If you're raised correctly by a good parent, your urge would be to, oh shit, I've got to make sure she's safe. And that could lead to problems. So I don't think the women do, but if they did, I could understand why they might like to cut their hair short, because if you're in the battlefield, long hair could be really annoying. It'll get in your eyes. It'll make you hot and sweaty. But
yeah, there were, especially during Vietnam, some of the forward operating bases that they had, there'd be many times where you know, guys would be asleep and just wake up to they're shooting. So they grab their gun and throw a helmet on, and they're like shooting in their skivvies, you know, shooting over the wall kind of a thing.
Well,
You
we're
don't really
actually
have that kind of time if you have long hair. That's a
uh, uh,
whole
uh,
other element that you
yeah.
have to do.
Well, when I went to Vietnam, and because of course I was there, like it's their summer, far out, going into being shown where some of the war was taking place, like the guerrilla warfare. Um, I don't even know how they survived, let alone the fighting, the heat, and the mosquitoes, and it's mental there. It's so hot. It's like being in a sauna, you know, that sweat, it is. That's how it was. And I'm thinking, geez, no wonder they were probably just in a singlet top. Like, it's so hot. I don't know. So those poor bastards, not only fighting the enemy that they couldn't see, but in that atmosphere and that heat, and sweaty and sticky and mosquitoes and war. Yeah, I don't know. Like when you're actually there and you can feel what they would have been feeling. Add in the terror, add in this being frightened and not knowing what's around the next corner. Yeah, horrific. It was bad enough just being there as a tourist and thinking, oh, how do I keep cool? And I was scared of nothing, but it was like, oh, it's hot. You know, it was sticky hot. There was no mosquitoes for me. Like I had bug spray on anyway, but yeah, very, very interesting. Very, very, very interesting. The firecrackers look good. I bet they look really good being there.
Yeah, I bet they're great.
If I lived in America, I would have gone to stay in Washington for the weekend to see this. I reckon, wouldn't that be something as a memory to hold, to say?
Oh, yeah. I mean, it's the 250th anniversary. It's not like that happens all the time. It only happens the once.
Yeah. And then next year is going to be even better, as you say, because it's
it'll be the 250 years of the country. So you'll basically from January to December next year is everything's going to be red, white, and blue.
Yep. And why not?
I'll have to go get some red, white, and blue shirts to wear all of next year.
I've got a T-shirt somewhere here with the red, white, and blue and the stars and stuff. So on the day, I'll wear that. I was out. It's funny how people think. So I think what's happening in England at the moment too, you've got to be careful what you wear. If you wear any clothing, it used to be a thing. You would wear your clothing and it could have the flag on it, like a T-shirt or something. I purchased a T-shirt when I was in America with the stars and stripes on it, and I was at the shops probably last year sometime at the shops. It was a warm day and I had that T-shirt on, and someone, a lady that was doing something at a car that I didn't know, I'd walked past with my trolley and she's gone, yeah, Trump. And that's in Australia. And all I was doing, and I'm like, why would, to me, it was like, why would you automatically assume that because I'm wearing stars and stripes that I'm a Trump supporter? Can't I just be someone who likes America?
Side doesn't like America and they don't wear the colors.
That's true. They don't, do they? It's America's death to America, and Americans suck, and that's their own. Yeah. I'm hoping, I'm really hoping actually, because I've seen you've got a few good Democrat people there.
There are a few. Sure.
There's probably more than a few. They've just got to use their big people voice and not be too scared. But I think it's still pretty scary there for them at the moment to speak up. Like you've got Fetterman, poor bastard. Look what they tried to do to him a few weeks ago. Like, but he's still there.
There's
the
lady this morning in her own home, her and her husband. Yeah. It's kind of the same thing because she voted the wrong way.
Yeah, so it's a bit scary, and that was on the news. I've tried to avoid that one for the minute because that's pretty, mind you, I've spoken about other touchy subjects, so why not touch that one? But that was pretty terrible to wake up and see that. I don't know if they've caught. I don't know if they've caught him yet. Do you know if they've caught him? They know who it
They
is.
have not. Yeah, they supposedly. I don't quite understand how they know who it is because they
His
released-
car. Something about the car. They found his manifesto in the car.
yeah,
They got his car.
and there was also a Father's Day card that was addressed to
Yeah.
him in a bag of ammo,
Yeah.
supposedly.
Yeah. They found. Yeah, from what I can understand, and I could be wrong, there was something about they may have had. I could be wrong. I'll have to look at it again because it was fleeting, and so I could be. This could be absolutely 100% wrong. But there were. My understanding when I saw the policeman talking about what happened was that he was shot at or he got away.
Yeah,
And it's
he
his car.
'cause he
So that's how they got his car. So
Right.
that's how they know who it is because they arrived and with the 911 call or whatever they arrived, and he escaped. So he's somewhere out there, God knows where, probably hiding in someone's woodshed. But they
Yeah.
got his car, and in his car was ammo, the Father's Day car, and a manifesto. And the manifesto has got 70 names on it of people that he wants to get. So
Yeah, fortunately, again, because originally they got a 911 call from the first family that he shot up, but they were still alive. They had to go to surgery,
Yeah.
and they're 50-50 if they're going to make it, kind of a thing from the injuries that they took. But the police that were there, they're like, okay, this is a person of political note, and here in the local area, we have other people maybe swing by some of those places just to check it out. And they catch the guy in his mock-up police car with his mock-up police outfit, apparently wearing one of those super creepy full face silicone mask things where it covers your whole head like you have a big bald head. Because there's pictures of that they put out there. And he had already shot up the folks inside and was on the way out when they pulled up, and they're like, "The hell are you? What police department are you from?" And
yeah,
start shooting. They exchange a few shots. He ducks back in the house and goes straight out the back door.
yeah,
And
and that's how they got his car.
that's the last. Well, he somehow made it back to the place that he had rental in a rental house that had other people that were renting in there as well. And that he like his neighbors, I guess, or I don't know. But they basically said, yeah, he came in here like early morning running around. It's like, yeah, I've done some bad things. I got to take one of my other cars because he had 2 other cars there that was, in his name, took one of those and then just beat out of there. So it's hard to tell where he is by now. And because his whole
Okay.
backstory, he's got a lot of international security experience. So it's hard to tell where he is or where he's hiding out at or anything right now.
And what have we got coming? It's the end. Trumpy's already said thank you. He's done the saluting. And there's probably more singing. Where's Kid Rock? I didn't see Kid Rock.
That would be a great ending with Kid Rock.
Yeah. I better turn that off because I think someone's about to sing a song. That's been a big day for them all, though, isn't it? I bet they're looking forward, I suppose. What time is it there now, Enzo, with you? What time's it for you?
Well, it's 8 o'clock. We're 8 p.m. where I am right now. It's 9 p.m. there on the East Coast where Washington, D.C. is right now.
Would they be going for a big dinner?
They've been going about the last 4 hours, I think. Yeah.
Yep. They'll be happy to sit down and have something to eat. They're probably going to go and have a big dinner or something, would you think?
Oh, yeah. Lots and lots of birthday cake for tens of thousands of people.
Oh, yeah. I forgot it's Trumpy's birthday as well today. So there you go.
Yep.
Yeah. Oh, the king.
The king. Got the kingly birthday cake.
I kind of thought about that, and I thought, I wonder if that was just because somebody knew that the King Charles was having a parade for his birthday, and then
I can guarantee you nobody in this country knew that. I can guarantee it was a pure coincidence.
it's just strange to me. And then someone was saying, "Oh, it's like a show of force," and I'm like, "Well, no, it's a celebratory parade. You know, it's been coming for a while." And
I remember
Yeah.
hearing that as well. Like the old school Soviet Union, and like North Korea and a bunch of other
yeah,
countries
but
like
they do that
Chinese,
like once a month.
yeah, where they have like these giant missiles rolling down the street and stuff like
Yeah.
that, which our Intel people loved because they're like, oh, they're showing off their latest hardware. Gladly, we will stand in the crowd and take pictures because we want to see your latest hardware. And there were many times where they would show stuff and it's like, yeah, that's not even a real missile. It's like cardboard or something because that the shape and the size of the thing that would never leave the ground.
I don't know. It
Fireworks are
depends.
the best part of any of it.
Yeah, but mind you, I was watching the beginning, as was Enzo. I was watching it before I came on and seeing the cavalry, the cavalry, and like the old stuff. Like that was so cool. And the guy,
It really was a good history lesson. Of
it
the
was,
US
it
Army.
was really good.
It was
right
actually
from the-
very well done.
and all in costume and everything. It was really well done. So whoever put it together did it really, really well. So but that's really good. And I bet you all
I
those
love
boys
the fireworks that they've had like the last maybe 10 years where when they blow up, it looks like Saturn. It's like a sphere with like a ring around it. And they've got other ones that are like heart shaped and all. They blow up in shapes now. It's not just a poof of light and shadow. They're like actual designs to it now. It's really wild what they can do with the stuff.
What was I going to say to you? So yeah, but apart from the fact that we have talked about things that are a bit icky, but that's all right. That's why I thought today, like, let's just talk about fun things and good things and hope that common sense prevails everywhere worldwide.
Yeah,
And
it's a little light on that topic.
Hey,
It's
what
a
was
little
that?
light on that topic of fun things that aren't.
Well, it doesn't seem to matter what you do at the moment. You turn it on and there's someone calling someone this and someone calling someone that, and then someone, and as I say, even getting things from my own dad, who's old enough to know better. But having said that, he's of an age where he only watches normal television, so he only watches the normal news.
Yeah.
And I think,
oddly enough, older people is a lot of who you're seeing at a lot of these Insurrection Day events or whatever the hell it is they're doing out there in various cities around the US, where it's a lot of like people like above my age range, which shocks me. It's like,
but that's what I mean.
doing?
Yeah, because like my dad's not a stupid man. Age might get to him a bit. He's a little bit deaf now and stuff. And my dad's always been, surprise, maybe that's where I get it from. My dad's always been a bit stubborn and opinionated. So maybe that's where I get it from. But he was always open to discussion, right? And so am I. But because I don't have very many people around me to talk about this stuff with, I will watch something and I'll go, okay, I see what they're telling me, but I want to see that full interview. So I will search out the full interview, like what I did with that fellow who stormed the podium with she's a pretty lady, but you know who I mean, that ice lady or whatever she is. And I thought, okay, so I saw the clip and I kind of thought, and to me, watching the original clip that places like CNN and whatnot were showing, I thought, oh, that's a bit unfair. He is shouting out that he's a congressman, but they purposefully edited out the bit before he shouts that out, which is where
he just runs up and starts screaming.
He was running towards the podium. He's moving full speed towards the podium where she's speaking, shouting. And that's when everyone goes, woof, straight onto him. So, you know, things like that. So that's why I'll watch something, I'll listen, and I educate myself. And if I don't know,
my favorite part about that whole thing is even when, you know, the CNN edit where, you know, where it only picks up where he first says, no, I'm congressman, whatever it is, or whatever it is. is the guy that's basically manhandling him and throwing him out into the hallway is about like 2 feet shorter than him.
Shorter, yeah.
He is knocking him around like nobody's business. Like, it's really, it's not a good look if you're
No.
wanting to say, I tried to fight the thing. No, you had a guy a foot and a half shorter than you that just totally schooled you and threw your ass out in the hallway.
Yeah. And the thing, and the funny thing is too that he got to talk to her later. She actually made the time to go and talk to him for 15 minutes. They had a 15-minute chat or something. But that's the thing. Or even like I saw that everyone was the reason that the riots started in LA were because a place was raided, and apparently they not only arrested the bad, like the murdering people, but they also got some regular people that were just illegally there. What everyone failed to cover, and which I've since dug up and seen, is that the FBI, the local police, it was an organised thing. It wasn't about ICE. It was about the fact that that place that they raided was doing something illegal, which had been looked at for months and months. A judge had put out an order that they could go and raid the place because they needed to get in and find out about all these illegal goings-ons. And ICE came along for the ride, because it was a police organised thing, and it wasn't, that didn't come out, but that's what that was. So it wasn't about ICE going in to get nice normal nannies and grandmas and things. It was about ICE going with the FBI, the local police, under a judge's order to go in and do a raid on this place and get, I think it's something along the lines of counterfeit stuff and drug running. I didn't go into what the order was for exactly, but there you go. So that wasn't spoken about. It was just said, oh, they're getting nanas and grandpas, and made it sound really bad, but it wasn't. That's not what it was. It was actually an organised thing that was known to be happening with the judge's order.
Right.
So it's just, it is what it is. Free tacos. Oh, I could go a taco. I love tacos.
Nobody can turn down
you
a
say
free taco.
Do Americans say taco or taco? I say taco. Other people say taco.
The U.S., we say taco.
Taco.
How we say
taco. Yeah, I love a taco. Oh, I like a taco.
Got the best taco salad here at Trump Tower.
There's a great Mexican restaurant in Virginia City. Just saying. That's all. I'd go there and have food sometime.
To be fair, there's a great Mexican restaurant in almost every big, small, medium, and small town in the United States right now. Because just last week, I went like an hour and a half south of here to a Mexican restaurant where we all meet up. We always meet up at a Mexican restaurant. One, because Mexican food is great, and two, it's super easy. Because let's be honest, Mexican food is like 5 different ingredients in different proportions.
I love chicken. I like the chicken with the beans and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, it's always great, and it's delicious, and it's usually very cheap.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's great everywhere. And that was the Penelope, that's the wrong word. The group that I was with last week, I was like sitting next to like Bigfoot investigators over here and like a ghost investigator over here, and we're sharing stories and tales about this and that. Me and like one of the Bigfoot guys is like, we got into a deep philosophical how to design your expedition van kind of a thing, because he had a van where he goes out in the woods and he has special gear on his mounted on his van. But it's one of those things where there's in the United States, there's always a good restaurant, a good to great restaurant within 20 miles of any direction you go. I think you can find one. It's all good stuff.
What?
South America.
Why would? Oh God, no! I do like Mexican. I like Mexican food. I like Greek food. I like all sorts of food. Even the Vietnamese food I tried while I was over there was really tasty as well.
Vietnamese food's
Um,
actually really big where I live, because I live near Wichita, Kansas. For some reason, I don't quite understand why, but I'm glad it's there. There's a large group of Vietnamese immigrants here in the Wichita area, and they have a bunch of restaurants. You know, every like 20 feet there's a Vietnamese place, and they're all great. It's all their stuff is good.
yeah, there's only a few tastes of things I don't like. There's certain fruit, not with Vietnamese food, with all foods. I will not eat oysters. What? I tried once and I nearly threw up. It's disgusting. It's like swallowing snot.
It is one of those things, even deep fried, it's not that great. And I would
Yeah.
deep fry an old tire and eat it. If you
Ugh.
could deep fry it. But,
Yeah, no, and this was as they call them. I don't know if they call it their oysters Kilpatrick. You know, they have the bacon on top of whatever. Just
Right.
gross. It's like
It's-
good on your
it's always
tongue,
got that
but
slime layer. Yeah.
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 good on your tongue. I couldn't do it. It was like swallow. I tried, and I was like, it was horrible.
Just
That and anything
Tom
that I can
Hanks out on the
recognize-
island in the middle of nowhere. Yeah, okay, I guess I would eat an oyster. But other than
look, if I was starving and had no choice, maybe. But yeah, ooh, gross, just gross. And I think I've told this story before, but anything that I can recognize as having eyes or a face or whatever. So if I go to a restaurant and I order the fish on the menu and they bring it out and it's got its head
got
on
the
it
head
or
on it.
something,
Yeah.
I'll send it right back. I've done that. I ordered garlic prawns one day and they brought the prawns out to me, still all in their shells
No.
with their. I couldn't. I said,
Whole head.
gross.
Yeah.
Yuck. If I want to order garlic prawns, I don't want to recognize it was a
You
living
just
thing.
snap that right up. So,
Yeah, but smoked oysters say, yeah, oysters can't. But that's about it. And lychees, I think that's the fruit, lychees, that you often sometimes get in a Chinese restaurant. Can't stand the taste of those. There's certain fruits that are like, it tastes like soap. It's like,
ah,
oh my God. No, I'm not. And no, I wouldn't be.
what?
I don't know. Maybe because it's fish. I don't know. But yeah, no, I'm not that
Remember-
way inclined. I like men.
I was since we're talking about a bunch of different things and world travel, I was in Saudi Arabia in the capital city of Riyadh. Went downtown. We found when you had women as part of your group, you had to find a family style restaurant, which would mean
Oh.
that basically one of the women was like your wife or girlfriend kind of a thing is what you would tell them, so that the women could go in there and eat as well along with the men. And this was again many years ago. I'm sure it probably hasn't changed that much, but anyways, we found this Chinese restaurant, and it's the best I've ever had in my entire life. And there was one, 'cause it was all family style. Giant dish full of stuff, and you would just pick what you wanted off of it,
Like a
and along
buffet.
with well, like for the table though, it was like you
Oh,
would
okay.
order,
I'm with you.
give us this thing. Well, we're dumb Americans, so just
table.
menus like
Yeah.
give us this on the menu, and it would be this giant bowl, and then there'd be like different sides of. They had this. It looked like regular white rice, but they had somehow stir fried it with like this garlic seasoning that was delicious, and it just looked like regular rice, but that garlic was almost overwhelming. It was great. But there were these. We ordered like a spicy dish because I'm an idiot, and I like spicy food, thinking that I'm sure this will be fine. And there were these tiny little peppers, like a little banana pepper, it was like
Ow.
only this
What?
long. And I was like, oh yeah, this will be fine. And I throw it in my mouth, and as soon as I bit into it, the juice squirted around in my mouth, and I was like, it was just like, oh, drink more water, sir. It
You
is.
sounded like Pee Wee Herman then.
Ah! That's kind of what it was like, eating that spicy
Oh,
stuff.
yeah.
But it was it was still, even, the mind-numbing pain that I had to go through for biting through the thing. It was still delicious. It's just going to foreign countries and trying different things, even things that aren't even native to like that. It was Chinese food in Saudi
Sometimes-
Arabia, but it was
Well,
really good.
even in Vietnam, they had a thing, they called it porridge. And all it seemed to be was rice with little bits of bacon in it, but still, like, when you cook rice, if you haven't cleaned it, washed it, it's got that kind of thick film to it. And that's kind of like what it was, but it was really nice. And it was just, they call it porridge. It wasn't porridge. It was just rice and bacon in it. But yeah, I found some of the food there. I did avoid, apparently it's true, and I think I said this last week, they do, in certain parts, there's rats. They cook rats and put them on skewers, so you have meat skewers that you think I'm like, oh my god, I'm glad I didn't buy a skewer of freaking rat meat. But yeah, so there's different things.
I have been to places where I was tricked into, oh yeah, this is a local favorite. Somebody that I knew that lived there. Oh yeah, everybody loves this, and it's like it was just a styrofoam cup with like a stick with like meat impaled on it with like this black sauce on it. Honestly, it wasn't really that good. And I was like eating it, and I got like halfway through one of the little sticks, and I was just not digging it. Not my thing. And I'm looking at it. I'm like, what did you say this is from? Chicken? Like looking at it. They're like, there's like these big blobs of fat. It's like, this didn't come from no bird. He's like, okay, I got you. I'm just tricking you. The local, we call it kitty on a stick. It was
yeah, but that's what I mean. See, it's probably the same thing, because China, Korea, Vietnam, etc. Yes, it would be the same dish. They told me they called it porridge in English, but that's not what it was called. They just help us Westerners to understand things a bit. But yeah, I don't know. I love trying all sorts of different food. There's just some things that, yeah, I draw the line at pretty cats, puppy dogs, and rats.
Raw side's already jumping up on me. It's like, I didn't like it. I suspected it immediately after trying it. I didn't even finish it.
Well, at least Obama ate dog, but he knew he was eating dog. I would have said no.
To be honest, for a lot of the world, that's kind of normal. And the same with cats or dolphin or a bunch of other things Westerners will be like, well, I can't eat that.
It's funny. I've got pet chickens, and I love chicken to eat, but I couldn't kill my pet chicken and eat my chicken. But so it's kind of funny. Like, there's days where I don't want to eat meat at all, because I look at my pet chicken and I feel a bit crook if I take some normal chicken to eat. I'm like, oh, where do you draw the line? Because they're all little living creatures. And I just sort of think, oh, I don't know what to do. Yeah, well, yeah. And it's funny. Oh, there you go. That's Enzo. The other thing I noted when I was in Vietnam, because obviously being to America and England, if you see a dog or a cat, well, I did see cats, but if you see a dog on the street, someone's walking their dog on the street, you go, oh, puppy, and generally speaking, can I pet your dog? Yeah, no worries. And the dog will wag its tail and love a pat. The one thing I did notice in Vietnam while I was there in Saigon, any dog, there was a lot of dogs just running around too, like not with anybody. It was really weird. But it looked like they'd escaped, because some of them had their collar on and a bit of chewed rope, the few I saw. But you go, hey, puppy, they run. They're really funny. It's really funny. And I'm like, why? Even the ones that were with people, like with the people, and I'd say, oh, hello, can I pet the dog? And the people would look at me, but the dog wouldn't come anywhere near me. And when the people moved, the dog, I'm like, what? And I thought to myself, it was just a thought, but maybe instinctively dogs in that country, because in the north part of Vietnam they still eat dog. So maybe it's some kind of passed down genetic fear of humans, like don't let them come near you because they might try to eat you. I don't know,
Yeah, I
but it was
guess,
just really weird. It was just really weird. Not one of the dogs, not one. They all ran and hid. It was the strangest thing. Hey, Dee. That's all right. I went on a bit early anyway. Yeah, rabbit. My dad used to go hunting for rabbits when I was little, rabbit stew and everything. But they tell me, isn't it funny? They would tell me when I was a little girl, my mum would say it was chicken stew, but it was rabbit
Yeah.
stew. But it
It's
must
a
have tasted.
radically different flavor than chicken.
Yeah.
That's what you say.
And I was only a little girl. It's because I loved bunny rabbits and I had a pet bunny rabbit. So I was confused as to why my dad would shoot a bunny rabbit.
For as far as like different societies and their animals and stuff, at my time in Iraq, they would have packs of wild dogs that would run around around the country, and the locals were horrified of. They were. You would think it was timber wolves chasing them down the street. They're like, "Ah!" And it's like this dog is like this big. What are you talking about? And there was actually one of our group that they actually adopted a dog that basically it was the friendliest, happiest dog ever there in Iraq, and they're like, I can't leave this dog behind. I've got to figure out some way of smuggling it out of the country, and he did. And
cool.
you know, he adopted the dog and brought it back to the States somehow. It was severely under. Yeah,
he must have just applied and said, I want to bring it back with me, and just it would have just had to have stayed in what do you call it, in quarantine.
Quarantine, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. I know that he got the dog back home, but it was one of those you're putting yourself
Still
through a
don't know how
lot
he
of
did it.
hassle to get this dog back home. I guess he was just in love with that dog. The dog stayed with him all the time and the whole thing. It was a great dog and friendly towards everybody except people that were Iraqi. He liked Americans because we were friendly to them, but did not like Iraqis because for some reason they thought they were like, you know, these evil pack. Like we were driving, we had like this little crappy Scooby-Doo bus thing that we would migrate from one side of the base to the other where the Iraqis worked and lived, where we were doing our training with them. And then we go over to the American Army side. Happy 250th birthday. And there was one of the guys that we knew, and he's running down the street, the middle of the street. I'm like, what are you doing? He's like, the dogs are trying to attack me and all that stuff. And like, where are these dogs? Get in the bus. You're making me tired just to the amount of sweating that you're doing from running. Right? I'm like, where are these dogs? There they are. There they are. It was like 3 just mutts. Just kind of like it was something that you would see any day, anywhere. You know, and it's like, that's what you're running from? What's wrong with you?
Yeah, ferrets are nasty little things. They're cute. Ferrets are cute, but if they bite you, you can't. Their jaws can't. I think their jaws lock. There's a trick to having to get them off. So yeah, no. I've seen people with pet ferrets. I patted a ferret, but I think yeah, they can just be a little bit nasty. A lot of animals can be nasty.
I've known guys that have had ferrets. They seem nice, but man, they stink. I'm not a fan of the smell.
Yeah, they've got a funny smell to them, haven't they?
Yeah.
Most animals do, but yeah, it's interesting. So, yeah, so it's near time. The 2 hours is nearly up. I can't. Yeah, I'm still trying to work out. My friend Lewis, I watch him. He's on just about every day at the moment, covering different things, and he keeps saying to me, "Oh, you should do this or you should do that," and I'm like, you know, I'm like, yeah, no, I'm still trying to work out. I'll have to actually speak to Lewis because I've got all of the people that continually support me and show up, which is wonderful, and I appreciate it. But yeah, since I took my big break, and because too, I'm not doing paranormal things anymore. So because I was primarily paranormal channel, and I guess I had my viewership up with that sort of stuff. Now that I don't do that and I just talk about anything, I still talk about paranormal stuff. I talk about lots of things, but yeah. So viewers, like, it's gone down. So I don't care. Well, thank you, Laura. Thank you. What have you got to show me, Enzo? Oh, the firecrackers.
Just a little finale for the fireworks.
Oh, they look so good.
Ah, there you go. Happy birthday, U.S. Army.
Happy birthday indeed.
Crowd's excited.
That's nice. See, isn't that better than people yelling out horrible things? Go home, F you, Nazis.
D, that's a lot of money. That
Yeah, it is a lot of money there.
cash.
Yeah, I don't know.
They're rad.
Yeah, so I don't know if there's anything else fun been happening in the world of late. So we've had 2 parades this weekend, one in England and one in America, which were nice.
Very nice.
I think I liked it. What else? Anything else good? I don't know. It's very hard sometimes because everybody is just so it's just everything's just full of hate. Simple.
A lot of
and
hate.
pure.
Plus, this time of year, getting into the beginning of the summer here, for the Northern Hemisphere at least, it's usually slow news days because people are outside enjoying themselves and not paying attention to world events and BS that's going on here and there. Enjoying fireworks and things like that and outdoor events. So it's been relatively quiet news-wise.
Yeah, which is, I just think it's hard not to talk about things because there is so much nastiness happening. It's hard, and but it's also, it gets very stressful. Like you turn on. That's why I've been binge watching old TV shows, The Nanny and Seinfeld and The Hardy Boys, Nancy Drew. What else did I watch the other night? I watched the Mannequin, the movie The Mannequin, and I'm just thinking, what a nicer time. Like, I'm thinking the show The Nanny, because she's Jewish and because they talk a lot about Jewish oy vey and do all that sort of stuff. I'm thinking to myself, probably wouldn't get played on telly nowadays because she's Jewish. Do you know what I mean? I'm just like, I'm over it. Like, bloody hell.
It is odd that a lot of people, not just you, have gone back to watching older stuff that they've never watched. Like, I've been rewatching some of the John Pertwee era Doctor Who episodes, which you can find for free over here in the US over on Tubi. And because that's from like the early 70s. A lot of stuff, but it's like they're still good stories, because Doctor Who, of all shows, especially the older version, it's never been about special effects or any of that stuff. The special effects are they're special, all right. You see them running down the hallway of the spaceship, and the walls are cardboard and they're like moving.
Yeah.
But
it's the story. It's the story, and
that's what it is. You tune in for the stories. You kind of give them a pass for the spaceship on the string, with the star background kind of a thing. You give them a pass for that because of the date. But the stories are great.
Yeah, and that's what I mean. And that's why I've been watching old stuff. And I get a bit sad watching some of the old stuff because I think, there were things wrong politically throughout the ages. It doesn't really matter. There were stupid wars and stupid things, but primarily people could have a laugh. People poked fun at themselves. Nobody really got offended by anything. People seem to have thicker skins. Like if you called someone a name or called them whatever, it was like, yeah, whatever. You had a few people that boo-hoo, they called me a name, but it was very few and far between. Now times it's kind of like you can't even tell a joke without someone going, oh, that's offensive. I'm like, oh my God. So that's why I'm watching so much old stuff. I was even watching one of the old episodes of the Hardy Boys. So the one with Sean Cassidy and Parker Stevenson, or Parker Stevens, or Stevenson. I was watching that, and at the moment in some of the episodes I'm watching, it was when Sean Cassidy was sort of big and was singing. And so every episode there's an excuse as to why he has to get up on the stage and sing a bit of a song. So, they were even in Egypt and he had to get up and sing Deep in the Heart of Texas.
In Egypt? In the 70s?
Yeah. It would have been the 70s, wasn't it? Late 70s. Yeah, the episode was that they were in Egypt and they went to a nightclub. It was a disco or a nightclub in Egypt. And there were some bad people there that were going to try and get the Hardy Boys. So they raced up onto stage and shouted out, "Any Texans here?" And there was people in the audience, tourists that were from Texas. Oh, from Texas, let's sing Deep in the Heart of Texas. And they're doing that. I'm like, what an odd, just odd.
That is like a Scooby-Doo transition.
It was, and they ended up getting away, and then it was very Scooby-Doo-ish, but it was fun to watch. I just sort of think, yeah, it's just sad. I think a lot of people my age, maybe even your age, remember those times and think, I don't recognize this world we're living in. It's just the world we're living in now is just so nasty. Everyone's nasty, and almost kind of like, maybe it's because of how we get our news, or maybe I don't know, but it sort of shows up people. You kind of see people through a different light. I'm learning things too. People that I thought were normal, with some of the comments they make, aren't so normal, and I'm like, wow. There was someone the other day in Australia at the moment, our government, our Prime Minister and his, what is she, Foreign Affairs Minister, put a sanction on the two Israeli politicians that are here at the moment. I think it hurts me too much to even think about it, but I think they've stopped them from speaking in Parliament at the moment or whatever because they're from Israel. And I'm like, what? And then they had a Jewish tech person come here, I think the week before last. I think he had his visa revoked, or he wasn't allowed to talk here, but he was coming out to do a charity event and give a talk on technology, not anything political, but because of who he was and he was from Israel, they said, yep, no, you can't come in. I'm like, what the hell? And I'm like, what's going on? And then I'm like, I'm just over this. But I said something about it because they did a news report and one of the reporters said something. And I said, yeah, as an Australian, like I've made the mistake of making a comment. I said, as an Australian, I'm very, very disappointed. This is so racist. Like, this is not good. And someone commented that I know and said, oh, you should read such and such, and then maybe you'll feel that way too, as in racist against Jewish people. And I was a little bit taken aback because I thought, oh, my God, like, what? So I'm learning very, very slowly that there are a lot of very racist people out there who are just like horses with blinders on, who think one way and you're never going to change them. They're never going to be open to being open to everybody. Do you know what I mean? Like, obviously, there's things you've got to be careful of. There's people out there, no matter what the religion, there are crazy people everywhere throughout any of the religions. Crazy, right? But at the point of it, people should just try to be kind to each other, and it's not happening lately. It's just really nasty.
Yeah,
So
it is sad. I feel this is kind of a speed bump in our humanity's trials and tribulations, kind of a thing where everything will be fine.
It's either gonna be okay, and another
or
year
it's
down
World War III.
or it's going to go the complete opposite. But it's pretty scary to me when I see people that I thought had common sense and I thought took the time to educate themselves on a subject are not, and they're just going with the mainstream narrative. And I'm like, oh my God, you're saying X, Y, and Z, but you haven't, that's not right. Like, you need to go and have a look. But thank God in some ways for places like Rumble, YouTube, X, places where people can get messages out there. But it's still scary that people don't take the time to educate themselves and just go with one narrative, and that's the end of it. It's a bit sad, but it is what it is, I guess. Hi, Nora. But Bert Newton, Bert Newton used to, Bert used to. I used to watch Bert Newton's morning program though on Channel 10. Channel 10, Bert Newton. Bert Newton was one of our kind of like, who would your equivalent be? Not Johnny Carson. Bert had a talk show, but Bert was an all-round entertainer. He was like the second banana to one of our talk show hosts, kind of like Ed McMahon. Ed McMahon Ed McMahon. He was the Tonight Show fellow, wasn't he? Yeah. Our Ed McMahon, except if put Ed in a position where Ed went off and did his own breakfast show. But yeah, Bert Newton, he passed away a little while ago. And, I was actually, guys, if you're interested in a good book to listen to, read it, yes, but I enjoyed listening to it because Johnny Farnham was reading his own book. We had a singer here, or we've got a singer here called Johnny Farnham, very big in Australia, never made it in America, but if you listen to him sing, and people like Richard Marx love Johnny and have worked with Johnny. Like, there's a lot of Americans that have worked with him, Ray Charles. But yeah, Johnny put a book out about his memoir, so to speak. If you want a good book to listen to Johnny tell his story, because it takes you back to the 60s and the 70s and a time that was just so different. And you sort of think, I don't know, this is where if someone invented a time machine, you have to go back in time and stop the internet, I reckon. Stop. What's his bloody name? The one that invented it? Shit. The other one died. No, invented the Al Gore. No, invented the like the actual internet, like where we're sort of to Microsoft, dickhead. Microsoft is good. He, however, is not. Yeah, he tells the story of that song too. Oh, well, I knew the story because I knew the story of that, but that was a song he did not want to sing, Sadie the Cleaning Lady. He wanted to sing one of his own songs, and he was controlled to a point where a lot of his early career, until he started to do his own thing, he was fairly well controlled by his manager. It was all about money. He was robbed as well, all those sorts of things. Oh, hey, I take offence at that. Careful. I take offence at that. I know Molly. And, well, I haven't seen him in many, many years, but he's just gay. He's not a pedophile. There's a big difference. Christ, careful. Molly's he's just a gay man. Careful. Yeah, but people knew I knew he was gay back then. We used to go to parties at his house. Molly never hid that he was gay. It was just, it wasn't talked about, if that makes sense. Well, it's a bad rumour, and it's not a nice rumour, and it's not true. So, yeah, no, I'll defend people that I've known in my lifetime. I'll defend them to the hilt. So, yeah, no, he's just gay. But do you see, that's how rumours get started. People like to say stuff that's not true, and then it just, but it is what it is. But yeah, no, I just do wish I think back, I think back fondly to those times, and yeah, there were issues, there were wars, you know, there were bad things happening, but on the whole, it was a fun place to be. We had great shows where you could make, and we had shows like you've got SNL's. I wouldn't say SNL's always been political, or has it been? Maybe I just never noticed.
At the beginning, it was at least even, where it would make fun of the
both sides,
right?
Yeah. I think probably the last maybe 10 years it's been a bit crappy. Still has its moments where it's funny, because
it's longer than 10 years for being crappy. It's way longer than that. Yeah,
I don't know. I just remember, well, actually, yeah, the 80s, because the fun parts of the Saturday Night Live that I used to enjoy watching were when Molly Shannon and all that sort of thing used to be, and they would just do the cheerleader thing, or there was I can't think of his name now. They did they made a movie on it where him and Will Ferrell, the guy I'm thinking of, him and Will Ferrell played brothers, and they would dance, and they would have their skits where they were in a disco doing the thing with their head. What is love? Yeah, that one. Yeah, like they had some fun things on it, you know, but yeah. Just fun. Yeah, it was just fun times, and then it's just not like it anymore. You can't even make a joke without getting, you know, we had another show called The Comedy Company here. Fast forward, The Comedy Company, and there was another one too, I can't think of it, but comedy skits. So it was sort of a little bit like Saturday Night Live, but it was just comedy skits. There'd be little short comedy skits on different subjects. Eric Banner was in one of the shows. He'd dress up and do impersonations of some of our local celebrities and things like that. Like, it was funny. Paul Hogan, you know, back in the 70s and early 80s, Paul Hogan and Crocodile Dundee, to the point where they've edited Crocodile Dundee because in one of the scenes he grabs somebody on the nuts. Someone says, "Oh, that's a woman," and he goes, "What?" And he goes up and grabs him and goes, "Oh my God, you're a bloke." Nothing
Sheila.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, you're not a Sheila. But there, we did have some good times, and now it's just, I think that's what's happening. The world has just, the last few years has been so depressed. Like everything, you're not allowed to say things.
It's like the last dozen years, really, where it's this downhill slide. I feel we're kind of on an, you know,
might come back up
a little bit. We still have like another year or so, because especially like the way that Hollywood and stuff like that, the way that it runs, the way that they put, you know, they churn out movies and TV shows and stuff like that. It takes like a year to 2 years from the time they create a show, you know, a movie or whatever, to the time it's actually spit out to where you get to see it. So I feel like we're at that in between year. The rest of this year and probably most of next year will be a lot of leftover crap from a lot of foolishness, but then things will be getting better after that.
Yeah, I hope so. Because if it doesn't, I'll be happy to die. Like, that's how I feel. Like, life is just shit. I mean, honestly, if this is going to be life for the rest of, say, another 20 years, where you've got to watch what what you say.
No,
Don't do
no,
that.
no.
Like,
All that kind
Ben,
of stuff is on its way out. All of that kind of stuff. It's just, you just got to hang on. You've held on this long. Just a
I just wanted to
tiny
go
bit.
back to just where you can make a joke, where people have got a bit of thick skin and it just sort of brushes off like that. I'm not talking it nasty. I'm not talking make a nasty joke. I'm saying just, joke, take the mickey out of someone. I've seen a few comedians lately that do, like there's a couple of, there's a comedian, I've shared a few of his things, Tyler Fisher, his name is, and he does a terrific Trump impersonation, but when he does them, he's taking the mickey, but not in a nasty way. Does that make sense? He's taking the mickey. He's saying something, and he'll do the same. And it's funny, and that's what it should be. It's always been the way that you need to have some humor and comedy, because when things get a bit, you got to laugh. Otherwise, you'll begin to feel like I feel now, like, oh, I've had enough. This is just shit. This is just crap, but we'll see. Yeah, Dee. No, I was 10 years old when that took place. My mum and dad didn't go to Sunbury, but it was in all the newspapers. Yeah, but it wasn't as successful as Woodstock. Oh, dear. Oh, my God, my daughter, Sunny Sock, wants to know if I'm going anywhere today. I'll take her up the shop.
It is a little bit past our time.
It is a little bit past. We're being egging on a little bit. All right, guys, thank you for being here. And yes, I think we kept it reasonably light. I just touched on a few subjects that got my goat, but other than that, it was wonderful to see the King's parade, and it was nice to see the soldiers getting out there for the 250th birthday as well. So by now, I reckon even Mr. Trump might be getting ready to go to bed. Although he's a night owl, isn't he? He doesn't sleep.
He sleeps less than me, and I only sleep 4 to 5 hours a night. I think he's always up.
I was awake last night that's what I mean. I've been having nightmares. Like, I'm waking up in my nightmares. People are saying, get a solicitor. They're going to take your kids. I'm like, what the hell? I'm like, my children are all grown up. I'm just like, but this is because before I go to bed, I'm watching morons be nasty. And I'm like, so last night I did try to watch a bit of The Nanny to cheer me up. So there you go. So I might I'm going to probably watch another old 80s type movie today, some kind of comedy, some rom-com. I watched When Harry Met Sally the other day. That brought back. Yeah, I watched that. I'm tending to watch when they used to know how to make movies. Do you know what I mean? I'm watching old movies. So there you go. And thanks for watching, Laura, Fats, Dee, Tanya, thank you. And I don't know if Carl is still listening, but thanks to everybody for being here. And I might pop on through the week. We'll see how it goes. And I'll see Enzo for sure again next weekend, if not before. But we'll see. Every now and then I get an inkling. So, yeah, everybody be good. Have a lovely weekend. Bye now.